Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It must be Friday night, because why are you gathered here for PCG Talk when you could be other places? And we are glad that you are not. You are right here, and I do not fly this chopper alone. Chano, brother, what's going on?
My brother from another mother. How you doing this evening?
Oh, doing all right, man. Doing all right. You have been burning the candle at both ends, I understand.
Yep. It's good for the goose, good for the gander, they say, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, man. So good to have all of you here this evening, and we've got a special guest coming up just real quick, and we've got a short time to have her here with us, so let's just go ahead and jump in real quick. The Bass Doctor, Brenda Coleman, Honeybee 7, HPWY. Good job this morning, Lady RWB, Mr. Foam Killer, and Relative Blue. Hello, and let's see. Point Man must be out there somewhere, because I see a message from HP. And Sandra, good evening. Stephanon, hey, what's up? You're still over on that little spot on the earth, right? And Big Ed, poor Big Ed. He was so bored at work, he was having to watch Dallas reruns on YouTube.
J.R. Ewing?
Yeah, that one.
Can't believe I pulled that name out.
I know. Boy, that's pretty good, man. I didn't even know you knew that show existed.
No, I don't. See, that's the crazy musician mind, right? I don't know that. Half the other stuff I don't know.
Yeah, that's very, very, very true, man. No doubt about it. Let's see. What do we got here? There we go. No. We got gallery going on? Yes, we do. Sweet. Side by side, are we? No, you're not on camera. That's why.
Well, I thought you still had to share it. My bad, brother.
Oh, man, you're leaving. Yeah, just leave me out here on the big screen.
I told you I was half asleep.
Hey, Chirping Cricket, you made it. Somebody, hello, welcome, whoever somebody might be. And Marie Damascus, good evening. Deborah W., man, fill it up real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest tonight all the way over from Patriots Soapbox 24/7, and you know it well, and you know who she is. And I think in the year that we've been over at that network together, she and I only worked together one time, and that happened to be the anniversary show we did just this past January. Anyway, Billy Jim, the season is now. Welcome. Give a big warm welcome to, certainly, hello, moeanon. What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Well, we are so glad to have you here with us.
I am glad to be here. It's funny how you can work alongside people and not ever work with them over there, huh?
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, there is really a lot of people that I never really actually did a show with or even did part of a show with. There's a lot still left. You too, I would assume.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay. The reason we wanted you on tonight is because you did some research into musicians' death, mysterious death. How would you categorize what you were researching?
I would say mysterious deaths. And there's been a lot of them, but these two were so close together and so many connections to each other that it piqued my interest. And then once I started diving, it was a deeper dive than I thought it was going to be. But, you know, it's good to find out or at least explore, you know.
Right. Such a deep dive, you needed a bubble tank.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what did I get myself into here?
Exactly. So, okay, who are the musicians that you're talking about?
So it was Chester Bennington, who was the lead singer from Linkin Park, and Chris Cornell. He was in Temple of the Dog, Audio Slave, and Soundgarden. Mm-hmm. And then the other big one that came out of the grunge era, of course, was Kurt Cobain. Right. Who died many years, you know, before those guys. Also under, you know, questionable circumstances.
Was there anything in particular that made you go, bing, I got to go after this?
No, I just always liked the music. You know, I liked the music. I remember when it was 1985, 86, 87. I was camping out for U2 tickets. It was the first time I had ever heard Teen Spirit by Nirvana. But after that grunge scene kind of took over. It really went from the hair bands to the grunge scene. You know what I mean? Right. So, but it was those two close together and all the, you know, it was during the whole Pizzagate stuff and what part of the whole child trafficking, which is the rabbit holes that I always end up going down. This kind of came up that they were potentially about to expose it. And so it had always piqued my interest.
Right. Now, Chester Bennington, of course, the lead singer for Linkin Park. And man, I mean, what a shock that was.
It was. And then to look at how much he looks like John Podesta is just insane.
Yeah, no, I can't deny you there.
Yeah. I, in one of my slides, I did like a side-by-side, and their faces almost connect perfectly. And it was a shock. It was on Chris Cornell's birthday that he was found. He had hung himself.
Right.
And both the wives, their first reactions were, my husband didn't kill himself, which that could be your first reaction when you find something like that out. But they seemed to be convinced that it wasn't suicide and later backtracked on their stories.
Now, I know Chester had kids. Did Chris have kids?
Chris, yeah, he had one kid with his first wife, who was like his girlfriend from way back in the early 90s when she was also his manager. And then he got with this new chick. She was a Greek publicist, I want to say.
Right.
Which a lot of his fans don't like her very much. And so that night that he was found dead, it was really the police report. If you read through it, she was like told the bodyguard to go not bang in his door. Mm-hmm. Just kind of odd things that went on, I think.
And where was this at? California? He was
on tour. He was on tour. And she apparently called the front desk of the hotel. They hung up on her, which is kind of bizarre. Uh-huh. And then she called the bodyguard and said, go kick in his door. But I played a clip from that night when he died, and it looked like he had a big gash on in the back of his head. Oh, wow. It looked like it was bloody and open. I thought. Other people thought it too. So just a lot of weird things that came up.
Now, they both died the same way, right?
By hanging. Yeah. And interestingly, we all know about, well, maybe we don't, but the Red Necktie Club, where all these people die on the doorknobs. He was hanging by this like exercise rubber band, a very small one. The whole setup is in the coroner's report. It's on one of the articles I had. I can pull it up maybe. Yeah,
please. If you've got anything you want to screen share.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
It was, yeah, right. It was pretty suspicious. I just, and it was red. And then Linkin Park, Bennington, he also hung himself. So, I mean, it's possible that, the other theory is that Cornell, he had a great voice. That's the thing, is like, even if you don't like the music, you can appreciate the talent. You know what I mean? Like
he had ranking on his voice. Like,
yeah, 4 octaves. He could,
4 octaves, and he's ranked the 22nd greatest voices in music.
Yeah.
That's up there.
Yeah, he had a great voice, a good talent.
Very talented.
Let me see. I'm trying to find these pictures. So it's really sad. So Linkin Park, Chester Bennington admitted that he was sexually assaulted as a child. All right. So here's the pictures.
Now Chester Bennington, as I understand it, was just coming out about this recently. I mean, it's not something that's been out there a long time, and it just recently come up before his death, correct?
I'm not sure, because I was looking for video clips of him talking about it, and I couldn't find the video clips. It was only had been written about, and I didn't, it was not, he didn't come out about it when he was younger. Right. Which a lot of times, all right, so I share my screen. I'll figure it out one of these days. So you can see, here's the red exercise band he was supposedly hanging himself with. Okay. So I'm assuming that the clip that goes over the door is looking something like this clip here. I don't know if that would hold a man enough to hang him. Now, this is supposed to be up on the top where he was hanging from. So, I don't know. His guitar. That was the drugs, the prescription drugs in his body.
Right.
This is for something, it's called Prilosec, and the other one is prednisone. Photographed as being in his room, neither drug was found in his body. Neither one is a narcotic. Prednisone is a steroid.
Right.
Yep.
And there's a picture of the door clasp that the bodyguard supposedly kicked in. So I don't know how you could kick one of those in. I suppose looks like the metal just snapped, kind of.
And this is whose scene?
This is Chris Cornell's in the hotel.
Okay.
This
just
was at
clarification for the chat. Okay.
And this was at the MGM Grand, actually, in Vegas. And then this is a boarding pass that day from New York to Vegas, where they were playing that night.
Right.
So some theories are that he had gone home to see his wife, and they got in a fight. Something happened then, and he came back. And who knows what happened. I don't like to speculate too much.
Well, what do you, I mean, is there something you feel?
I mean, there's a lot of people who said she's like his handler, the wife, this wife is like his handler. And I don't know. I think, to get to any level of really success in the business, you're either like born and raised into it, like the Mickey Mouse stars, that pop culture, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake.
Right.
And then you have the Laurel Canyon crew that came up that were all kind of Frank Zappa. And I feel like they were the next. And then this grunge scene came up. So are they bred into it? Are they child trafficking? Do you get a certain level of success and you see things you don't want to see? And then because the lyrics of some of their songs are a little warped. So it's either that or they were, they're part of it and they don't want to be a part of it anymore. I don't know.
Oh, Jester says when he was 11, he had to go live with his dad, and he was doing so much hits of acid, 11 hits in one day. And then he would do a bunch of crack and smoke meth. This is him saying this, and smoke meth and then do opium to calm down. Said he weighed about 110 pounds, and his mom said he looked like he stepped out of Auschwitz.
Yeah, he's a strange one. Like, he just is I don't know. He's just different. I wasn't really into them that much. They had a couple songs. They do still have a couple songs that, get your blood pumping and is good stuff.
See, the reason that like Chester's death, I did a thing on that when it happened here at Last Scout Radio. And my son turned me on to Linkin Park and really became not an overbearing Linkin Park fan, but it wasn't below me to go and buy a Linkin Park CD. If when a new one came out, really enjoyed the music. Really liked the way that they brought rap and rock together, really tremendous voices put together between all of them. But once we started getting educated, and I know we don't talk a lot of politics here at Last Scout Radio, but this is musicians. Once we began to learn, the Pizzagate thing started coming to light, all the symbolisms. I went back and took a look at Linkin Park's symbol that they used. Have you ever looked at them real close?
Yeah, I actually have a slide of it and I can bring it up.
Yeah, please do. Thank you. Boy, you're a treasure to have here. You make life so much easier.
So this is the Linkin Park on either side symbol. And these are the FBI pedophile symbols in the middle. So it gets you thinking. So
Yeah, exactly. And when and when it came out and Chester died, I went, man, what is bugging me? And it was the symbols that they used.
Yep. And I played the video I did was actually in 2 parts, and I guess we can't play the second part because I played their music a little bit. Here's him in Podesta. Well, that's just him. Oh, I messed it up. But that's the half and half face you can see there.
Right. Oh, wow.
That's creepy.
Yeah, it is.
That is very creepy.
And I like that about their music too. They combine the rap and the rock and stuff. And I grew up.
I think you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So,
hey, it's cool. It's live, right?
Yeah. U2 was like my all-time favorite band through high school, even into my 20s. And then, I fell away a little bit, but I still love them. When I come around, I try to go see them. Back then, their tickets are through the roof. But you start to come to a realization when you start digging too much that who's not involved. He's got this red organization. And, back in the day, remember what was that, Live Aid? They were like this rebel English group that stood for, rebelling in Ireland to me.
Right.
And then they, do they warp, or are we warped, or is society warped,
Well, I do know this, that Ancestral, we did a show with Ancestral about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, and because she knows she was a kid growing up in the Austin music scene and really had, a lot of interaction with musicians where she worked at the World Armadillo headquarters and other places. But she got to meet U2, and she turned on U2 after meeting them because she said Bono was a total asshole and the guitar player was even worse. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that totally happens. And then I've played a couple videos before of just music artist after music artist saying that they sold their souls. There's one of Bob Dylan saying it on 60 Minutes. Mm-hmm. So it's something deeper and darker that goes on. This is Chester, this slide of him and his supposed father. So that's pretty funny. It doesn't look anything like Must Stop Share now.
Did you read the autopsy report for him?
I did. So it basically said that his trachea, what was it called? Tracheal cartilage and the hyoid bone, which is the bone that attaches your tongue to your bottom of your mouth, weren't damaged. So then I had to look up if that's expected, and it's like sometimes it's expected and sometimes it's not expected.
Right.
But I think that these things were maybe doctored up, or they don't want the whole truth to get out. So I'm just reading through it now. A lot of interviewing of the I can pull it up, the bodyguard. So this was the other weird thing is he says he kicked the bathroom door 6 or 7 times. So the guy had the key to his hotel room door, but he couldn't break that lock. So he ended up getting through the lock, and then the bathroom door was locked.
And so this is Chester?
This is, no, Cornell.
Cornell, okay.
But you wonder how someone shuts the door and then hangs them. Oh, I guess that would hold. That makes sense. It would hold the thing in place. It just seems an odd. And then the toxicology report had barbiturates in his system. It didn't have any opioids. It had ephedrine, pseudoephedrine, and ephedrine. I'm sorry if I'm making you guys.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Dizzy. I'm trying to find the toxicology report, but it wasn't like heroin or anything like that they found in him. So it's just suspicious.
Now, Chester, you said that when you were showing the pictures from the crime scene there, or the scene there, you said that they did not find any of the prescription drugs he was taking. Was there anything else that they found in him?
Oh, that was all Chris Cornell.
Oh, that was all Chris. Okay, I'm okay. I'm getting this straight.
Chester Bennington. I found a recording of his driver calling 911. The housekeeper was in the background screaming, like, ooh, all upset. But I didn't find any scenes from the pictures from the actual scene. So, but the other weird thing is that they have these foundations, right? Both of them, the Chris and Vicky Cornell Foundation, and Chester has this foundation with the other guy. His name is Mike something. Okay. And there's a video of Bill Clinton going down to Haiti with the other singer. His name is Mike. And they filmed a video while they were down there. So there's, connections to Haiti, connections with these foundations to the Clintons. Cornell played at the Obama fundraiser. So then that starts, getting your antenna to stand up.
Right.
What do you guys think? You think that it's fishy?
Well, of course, we question everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've given it some thought in some areas, and other areas I've just let it go because, and I'll be honest, I'll tell you why. It's like when I took a look and I had my suspicions about, the Lincoln Park cover designs or whatever you want to call them, the symbolism. I kind of put the brakes on there from wanting to know anymore, really, because I wanted to because for me, like with Chester Bennington and my son, that was a really close connection.
Yeah.
A seriously close connection. And I mean, I still listen to Linkin Park today. I've got a CD out in the pickup right now. But I just went, you know what? This is as far as I'm going to go because I don't want to soil the music anymore and soil the talent. Irregardless of what was behind the scenes, what was going on. When it came out, it was moving. For me, it was a connection to my son. And so, therefore, that's where I stopped.
And that is something that I struggle with, too, because I have a love for music. And so if you're going to all these songs that you grew up on, I'm sorry about your son, Choctaw. I can understand that musical connection,
Thank you, ma'am.
And if you start thinking about this on too deep of a level, you have to let go of all the music that you've loved your whole life or a lot of it, and I'm
afraid you're exactly right, Mo.
100%. Right on. Spot on.
Yeah.
So many bands we grew up with. Now that I know what they're doing, it's like, no, I can't even listen to them anymore. Just turn them off.
It's true. And if you think of it, if you go back and think of these songs that you never understood the lyrics when you were growing up, and then you go back and apply a different theory to what the lyrics could mean, it's like, oh my God, it's right in front of our face,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you asked if I thought this was suspicious. Now that I know, the way they went out and the symbolism, I wasn't aware of that before. But yeah, it's you got to wonder, And
up until 10 years ago, I don't think we knew the symbolisms and I guess it was always dark. We had Ozzy biting the head off of bats, right?
Alice Cooper.
Yeah, but Ozzy and Alice Cooper were showmen.
Yeah.
Because the persona that you saw away from the music world, I mean, look at Alice Cooper, total conservative.
Right. Ted Nugent.
Yeah. Total conservative. And so it's like, oh, okay. But you bring up a good point, Chano. You do kind of, when you hear something, it's like, oh, man, now that I know what I know, do I do this? I'll give you, oh, man, when David Grohl from the Foo Fighters came out and said something about President Trump, I lost my mind. It was like, of all the groups that I wanted to stay out of, it was the Foo Fighters, because I truly do love their music and their showmanship. You know, they're just natural rock and rollers. And the fact that Dave Grohl survived coming out of Nirvana, and how, you know, as you were talking about earlier, Kurt Cobain, it's like, okay. And because, see, we had here recently, I know we're kind of getting off topic, but it is music. When was it? The year before last, the Foo Fighters were having a concert up in Kansas City. Well, the not far from here is that really freaked out church that like blames, you know, that goes to military funerals and protests, you know, that, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, anyway, that church was up there, however many of them were, it was just a handful, but they were up protesting up at the Foo Fighter concert. Well, Dave Grohl and the boys got in the back of a pickup truck with a large American flag and drove up and down the street right in front of the protesters and everything else. There's pictures of it. You can double check it somewhere back in history. But I thought, man, all right, we're safe. And then it did that. But, you know, you guys are right, Moe, and you bring up another good point, is that the music that you grew up on now has certain meanings that you were not even totally aware that that's what they meant. Hey, what did we do here at Chano just a few weeks ago? We played HR Puff and stuff. Okay, I was totally clueless until after I got into the military what that was about.
Right. Yeah.
So you're right, Mo. I mean, we don't know. What songs come to mind like that to you?
Well, the one that I was just doing the other day was Hunger Strike by Soundgarden. And that's just the one because it's fresh in my head, but the lyrics are literally, I don't mind stealing bread from the mouths of decadence. And then it goes on to say, you know, it's on the table, the fires are cooking, and they're farming babies while the slaves are working. Now that's flows very nicely into this song that sounds like a nice rock and roll song. Mm-hmm. And when you stop and think about it, well, you can kind of put some of the lyrics together. Yeah, they think, you know, we're slaves to the system. Right. But when you dig deeper, and that's not to mention artists that have just, like you said, everybody's backing, you know, they all backed Obama. All of Hollywood is the same, and they can't say anything nice about this president. And it begs the question, why? What are they afraid of? Or are they just that brainwashed?
Right. One of the chatters, let me get back to it really. It was Deborah W., I believe. Deborah W. wrote, singers and actors' weird deaths makes you think they sold their soul to the devil. You know, Deborah W., I agree with you up to one point. And that is, yeah, they may have made an agreement with the devil to sell their soul. But when it came time, the devil is due, they didn't pay up. And this is why they died so heinously. If you want to go that route, it's just food for thought.
Yeah. And then there's like the lead singer of NXS. He died from hanging in a strange way. You know, it just happens. And we write it off as, oh, they're just artists. Like that's how I write off a lot of things. Like, oh, I don't understand the lyrics to that song, but they're artists. They think differently. When, you know, I don't know if that's always necessarily it.
Well, Chano's an artist. Is it true you think differently?
Well, I mean, to a degree, yeah, we think differently. But not to the point of hanging yourself, you know.
Right.
Well, I think to write that music, you are gripping, you know, you're reaching down somewhere very deep. You have to be attuned to, I call it the spiritual energy, be it good or bad. But when you're singing and you're pouring your heart out, that's coming from almost sometimes a different place. And I think that a lot of the great singers in the world, in order to obtain that, they have to be sensitive and they have to be in tune, you know.
Well, it's like two planes. There's the human plane to where you're just doing your thing. And then there is this uncreative plane that I think that everybody does have into them. It's just some people possess that plane more than others. That higher level that just really go out there and you're right, though. You think about a lot of the music, and sometimes you watch musicians on stage, and and let's say that band, and that particular song is very important to that band, and you'll watch certain members, if not all the members of the band, just change in their performance. It like ups the level. I'm not talking hieroglyphics and FX and all that stuff. I'm talking about just pure energy performance.
I know, probably, Chano, I didn't mean to cut you off because I know you wanted to say something. I sing just for fun. I sing like when my friends' bands play, or if there's a karaoke or whatever. But I know when I get up there, it comes from a different place. I can practice that song all day long in my house, but when you're up there actually doing it, you get this energy that comes through you that I think gives you a better performance. Do you feel that way, Chano?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely an energy you feel. I mean, there's no question about it. But in relation to these artists that somehow go dark or whatever, turn dark, I don't think they start out that way. I think they start out genuine, and something happens.
I think so too. I was watching a video of Kurt Cobain giving an interview way back in the early days, and he was saying, before when I used to write, it was just when I felt like writing. Now I'm under a deadline. I have to have so many songs out by such and such a time. They get totally transformed into this business where they're, more or less pimped out, put on the road. And, it's, if you ever saw Dave Chappelle speak about how the producers come in and try to get him to change a line here or there, I'm sure that musicians probably go through that too, with people trying to inject their message into their music,
Right.
Yeah, it's a control thing for sure. Several conversations with my other brother from another mother, Stephen John, and alluded to just that. The industry is it's ugly. So it turned me off. I've been doing music for a long time, but it turned me off to the point where I really didn't want to pursue it because you could just see how ugly it was.
Well, and then too, think about it, Chano. You're kind of like let's use 9 Fathoms for an example. Okay. Very raw musician. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Very down to earth. You've got like this wholesome energy, like you're talking about, you're doing it for the right reasons. You're writing these songs because they're coming to you pure and they're light. And then you step into that world, you move up to the next plateau. And what starts happening? You've left that base of all this positive energy that you hoped helped you write your music and inspired you to write your music. And now you've got all these nefarious, negative people that are trying to hustle a dime out of your talent.
That's right.
The shark pool.
And not to mention the drugs that you have access to and the unlimited amounts of alcohol, and your life probably becomes one big party. So,
everybody's protecting you.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole lifestyle.
And another thing, I was talking to my aunt yesterday, and she was like, would you rather have all the good looks in the world or all the money in the world? She's 90, my aunt. She's so funny.
Wow.
But I said, probably money because good looks fade. She said, if you had money, you would never know who was really your friends, and I'm sure that, that's something else that comes with getting successful. So it becomes lonely probably too,
It's hard to meet anybody real.
Right. And then you get to where you can't trust anybody, and you can see where you could go eventually and dive into, well, everybody's out to get something from me.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs to reach the top, and that's what's at the top for you.
Then you're dealing with that big letdown too. It's like, this is what I've aspired for my whole life. And look, it sucks up here.
Yeah.
Right.
What am I doing here?
Well, what other musicians have you looked at, or just basic life experience of knowledge have piqued your interest?
I mean, anytime someone dies, like Elvis was probably the first. My dad was a huge Elvis fan and grew up listening to him. And I remember the exact time my dad found out, because he ran out of the room. So that was the first. And then I read his wife's.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I read Elvis and Me, written by his wife. But then you have like Whitney Houston, and then her daughter mysteriously.
Back up a minute, Mo. You know how I interview. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. To sit there and you love music, obviously. You go out and sing when you can. What was it like to sit there and watch your dad get up and leave the room over the death of Elvis?
I was 7. So.
Okay.
And my sister came running in the room and said, Dad, Elvis is dead. And he ran out of the room to go watch the news story.
Okay.
So, but to have that memory burned in my head, and then just the memories of, that was the first time. Yeah. It was like, whoa.
Right.
And then as the years go by, you learn about his life, especially in that book I read. And it was like, wow, nothing's ever as it appears to be. But, he still had a great voice. I love Elvis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Interesting fellow. Really is. Who else?
Michael Jackson, too. That was a big thing when I was growing up. And I remember the day I found out he died. There are certain ones that you just remember. Oh my God, you kind of expect it though. Like that was no shock to me. Whitney Houston wasn't a shock to me, really.
No, you could see that going downhill on that reality TV show they had.
Prince. How about Prince?
Yeah, that was a big one too. That was really a big one because I thought like he's a Jehovah's Witness and, pretty much was living a clean lifestyle, and then they say he had fentanyl and it's just like, what's true, what's not, you never know.
Well, are the triple hit loss of Jimmy, Janice, and Jim ever cross your mind?
Yeah. That was a little bit before my time, but
I know that's why I was trying to gauge you after the Elvis comment.
Yeah. Yeah, they all died before I was born, but still it's they're still one of the greats. And I think Jeff Buckley too, he's another great that died. He was friends with Chris Cornell. So of the greats that die under mysterious circumstances, Mama Cass,
Right.
There's just so many when you really start to just think about it,
And we're not even talking airplanes and helicopters.
Right. There was Leonard Skinner, right? Who else died in plane crashes?
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
John Denver.
Yep. Let's see who else. Ricky Valens and the Big Bopper.
Yep.
What about Ricky Martin? Was that no, not Ricky Martin? What did he? They had a TV show. Well, Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson. That's right. And that was stop and think about that song he wrote. I went to a garden party.
Well, the other one Daddy Dragon was talking the other day about how Masons go around and say, "Are you a traveler?" That's how they identify himself. And he had that song, "I'm a traveling man."
Right.
And so that got me thinking about that song. I didn't know too many of his songs, but that one I always like.
Interesting. And let's see, Harry Nilsson. Why is that name popping into my head? Harry Nilsson. I don't know. Better let it go. I'm getting that song stuck in my head called Me and My Earl, but that's for another show. So let's see. Otis Redding, Jim Reeves plane crash, says Nikos. John Lennon murdered. What's your take on John Lennon's murder?
I don't know about John Lennon's murder. I think he was probably taken out. I think when you get too much power, too much of a voice, and if you're questioning things that you shouldn't be, they try to silence you. That's what I don't know.
Right.
When you question their control.
Yeah. And that's what he did. And then there's the whole, of course, Tupac and Biggie thing.
Is Tupac alive?
I don't think so.
Stop it.
I just had
Don't
to ask.
do that, man.
He's living with
No,
Jerry.
I am about that.
In the Philippines, right?
Yeah, he's living next door to Tetsuyama. Oh, no, wait a minute. Tetsuyama's in Thailand,
Oh,
right? Yeah, that's right. Okay.
You know, what's funny is I was going through the FBI vault one day, and I just stumbled upon FBI papers on Tupac. And
Wow,
I started,
really?
yeah, and started reading them. They had a file on him before he even died, you know.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, tied to the Black Panthers and everything else through his mother. So,
No kidding.
yeah, she was in jail when she was pregnant for him. She got out and had him, but she was a big Black Panther in his younger days. Yep.
I'd be doggone. I did not know that. Guess he found out the music industry paid better. I don't know. But who else? I'm trying to not go too deep, too far out of the spectrum for you age wise. But when do you think that the music industry started going off the side of the cliff?
I don't know. I mean, you got Sinatra, who was in the mob, right?
Well, yeah. Well, no, the mob's okay. The mob back then was a real mob, you know.
I mean, the real cliff of just being like, you can't even find a decent band right now. There's no bands anymore. I keep saying that. Where's all the bands?
You're not kidding.
I don't know when that stopped. In the past 10 years, it's just none.
Well, no, and I mean, Lincoln Park's been around for, let's just take them, for example, like 15 years now.
Yep.
Wow. That's longevity.
Before that, they were Stone Temple Pilots, weren't they?
Yeah.
He was the front man. That's right. He was the front man.
Yeah.
But Stone Temple Pilots is another great band you don't hear about anymore either. But you don't hear about any new up-and-coming bands. You don't hear really any rock on the radio, new music. I don't, anyway.
Listen, I went through a period here just very recently to where I had the only thing I could listen to in the car was FM rock station. There was supposed to be new rock, the new stuff coming out from out down in Joplin. Oh my God, they suck so bad these days. I mean, there is nothing that I heard that just reached out and grabbed me. And I'm open to music. I'm always open to a new, different kind of music, a new band. Let's see what you got. And I'm like going, really? This is what you're spending millions of dollars on to market?
That's how I feel too. And I feel like if there is people, the bands that are coming out today or whatever, the groups are put together. They're not organic. Oh, let's go play in my garage after school and we turn into this huge band. You know, they're put together. They're manufactured by
manufactured 100%. Somewhere I read where there was this two guys that wrote most every pop song in the last 10 years. Just two guys.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
But then, Chano, you're trying to break through that wall, and man, it's a tough wall to break into, for a young songwriter that's got good stuff.
It's almost impossible. If you're good, they don't want you.
I had this friend that he's from New Jersey. Great. He's great at acoustic. He like finger picks, really fast tempos, like really good stuff. And they were like talking to a record label, about to get signed to a record label. His music, like the next time we saw him, had completely changed. It was like thrash metal. It was really dark. And they were on tour in the company's tour bus and everything. And we were like, oh my God, we didn't like the music anymore. And since then, he has left that, never really got, high levels of fame, but he's gone back to his roots and his, storytelling So it was an interesting thing to observe.
About how long did it take to change the style?
Not long, like 6 months. It was like,
dang.
Yeah, it was like overnight.
Wow.
Because I know people evolve, you know, but it seemed more like it was coming from somewhere else. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. You know, there are a lot of musicians out there, and you talked earlier, Mo, about, you know, the spiritual aspect of musicians and their performance. And when it comes to guitar playing, I got to say that I know I'm going to make a lot of people upset by this one. I love Jimi Hendrix, but I think that Stevie Ray Vaughan was the purest guitarist I've ever heard. I mean, such a natural. I mean, more than a natural, to the point that it was just like, I mean, even like now, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, what we showed the other night here at Last Scout Radio. And it's like, man, to attain, you know, where he did, and the talent, the natural raw talent that he possessed. And every time he performed, it just got better and better and more pure. Any thoughts?
I just think some people are born with it. You know, you see these little kids that are rocking out songs at 5 years old that you're like, where does this come from? It's just like an innate ability. But, you know, you hone, I guess, is the your skill, and then that's where the musical geniuses come from, you know?
Right. Yeah, you know, Chano was the first one at the music store the next day when the Hanson brothers came out with Bop. He couldn't wait.
I will still get sucked into that song, I'm not going to lie.
Bust me out every time. Busted me out, didn't you?
I had to, man. I had to.
No. I remember those guys, though. I think they're all grown up now.
Oh, yeah, they're all grown up, but I love the kid drummer, but I don't, you know, I thought, as a matter of fact, I thought the other day about taking a look to see what had happened to him, and I'm like going, I don't know, man, because if these kids have gone sideways, I don't want to know. I really don't.
They were like, had changed over to like, no, I don't know if you'd call it rock music, but they weren't bad, but they were all grown up, and it was weird to see them, and this was years ago, but it was just like, oh my goodness.
Actually, I quit watching Fox and Friends about 6 months ago, or maybe 8 months ago, and I seen them on there in the morning show. Yeah, the Bop boys.
Did they do that song, or did they do something different?
I think they did something different, but they also did that one. Yeah.
Right. What did you think, or do you remember it?
Yeah,
you have to understand Chano, Moan. You have to understand him. He's just, you know.
It's the musician mind. We only store what we need. If it's not relevant, it's out, man. We need that storage space for other things, you know?
Yeah, that's why we got to remind him and turn his computer on.
That's right. You can't go up and sing 4 hours a night and have to memorize all those lines.
Oh, man.
Have storage, you know what I mean?
Oh, man, that is true. Hey, how about you, Mo? Are you good at memorizing lines to songs before you get up on the stage?
Yeah, but I if there's a song I want to do, I'll practice it a lot. So, but I can usually remember the lines. But now they got these iPads in front of them, so they're all good to go now. But if I know a song, if I'm gonna get up and sing it, I have to know it like the back of my hand, because you know you don't want to. I've made a fool out of myself before. You don't like that to happen.
That's never happened to Chano.
I love that New Rules. That's a rockin' tune. Every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah.
1995.
Really?
Yep.
When he was just a young pup.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember going in high school to my friends. They were playing in the garage, this band, and it was funny. It was neat.
Mo, what was your first concert?
U2.
U2.
Yeah.
Where at?
Where was that one? At the New Haven Coliseum, which was a smaller venue. Yeah, it was awesome.
Right. Sweet. Jana, what was your first concert? I've never even asked you that question.
Man, I think it was maybe Van Halen. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
There was a few. I live in Denver.
Well, yeah, that's true, man. Always
what was
out
yours,
at Red
Jana?
Rocks.
Van Halen.
No, Jana. I mean, Choctaw. What
That
was
other
yours?
guy. What's that guy's name?
And
Other guy.
I was looking
pilot.
at you and saying, Jana.
Why doesn't he respond? Oh, I don't know, because it's not my name. Anyway, no, actually, what would I say was my very first concert? Probably Saturday nights at the Fowler Furniture Family Hootenanny Jamboree in Tyler, Texas.
There you go.
But modern day, where I paid for my own ticket, my very first concert was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and it was cheap too.
I bet.
Back in the day. Oh man. Well, Mo, are you at the point you need to scramble? I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, I probably should go get ready. I don't really have anything ready, but we'll fly by the seat of my pants.
Hey, well, you do a good job at it.
I had those slides prepared last week, and I was like, boy, I should have just went by. When I try to think of what I learned, it's harder than if I just spew it. So,
Right.
thank you for having me, guys.
Mo, you blew it with Laura Loomer. That was so awesome.
Oh, yes. Got to get that in.
Man, you rocked. That was awesome.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Talk about being nervous, but it's over now. Nothing now. It'll be a piece of cake to just go on air on a Friday night.
Now it's all on YouTube. Right? No, that was so very cool, Mo. We were so proud of you. Really proud of you.
Thanks. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, one more thing before you get out of here. If I throw you an invite to our backroom office Zoom room karaoke, will you show up?
Sure.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, Mo. Love you. You take care,
Love
dear.
you guys too. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you very much.
Peace.
Peace out. Wow, that was pretty cool having Mo on, man.
That was very cool.
She rocks the house, and she brings such a positive energy, And I've seen her disagree on subjects with the chat room, and she's very, very, I got to hand it to her. She's very, very gracious, opinionated, but very gracious. And yes. I respect her for that.
She's one of those mods I put up there, right up there, because she can bring it.
Yeah, I wish she was on more often, Yeah. Oh, man, what a trip. That was great. Let's see. Point Man says, thank you, Mo, for us. She is very special indeed. The interview call-ins with Laura Loomer was great, truly. Yeah, that was big, man. That was a big coup, Bubba. Big coup. To say the least. Woo, man, I need to catch my breath for a quick second.
Me too.